Sitting down with Tom Nichols, the radio broadcaster for the Dayton Dragons. How you doing, Tom?
Excellent, Doug. Thanks for visiting with us here today.
So the pitching staff is pretty much probably carrying the team at this point, I think it's fair to say. You ever seen a better start to a pitching staff than the one this one's had this year?
I don't think so. We had a very good pitching staff here in 2011. The two starters that year that kind of carried us were Daniel Corsino and Josh Smith, and we had a strong bullpen that year with Drew Hayes and Chad Rogers, a couple other guys who haven't advanced. But this pitching staff, the starting pitching, has just been sensational. We've got 3 starters right now among the top 9 in the league in ERA. Really, it could get even better because Amir Garrett's capable of doing a lot more than he has done. And his ERA is over 6 right now, and he's certainly capable of better things than that. Travieso's been the best and the most consistent. Guillon's had probably the best games, but hasn't been as consistent as the others. He's had 2 or 3 really bad innings, one in each start, it seems, and some of the starts have been very good. But and Romano's been good too. And Daniel Wright, who didn't even begin the season as a starter, has been outstanding in a role that he didn't expect to be in. So the depth of the rotation has been extremely good.
Has anybody stood out from the bullpen side of things?
Boy, I'd say Zach Weiss so far. He doesn't throw tremendously hard. In fact, none of our relievers throw real hard. The exception might be Pedro Diaz, who can get it up there 94 or so. Most of the relievers that we have are in that 90, 91, 92 range, about average. Weiss has been very good. He's only given up runs in 1 of his outings so far. He gave up 3 runs in 1 outing. Outside of that, he's been shutout baseball all the way. Scott Bradford's been pretty good as the closer. Chacin has been very good as well. Alejandro Chacin, not quite as good as his ERA would indicate because he's given up a bunch of unearned runs, but he's been good. And he's a second-year guy, probably should be good at this level. The bullpen's been very strong, but I think you look at the staff overall, the guy you'd probably focus on most of all would be Nick Travieso.
We'll move over to the offensive side. Sebastian Elizalde, he seemed like the big bat in April until he got injured. What did you see with him, and how close does it look like he is to returning?
He should be back soon. I think you'll see him probably maybe this weekend at some point. Just about ready to come back and play. He was a key for us because he was a veteran presence, you might say, in the middle of the lineup. Could drive in some runs. Very advanced professional approach to his at-bats. Would take a walk. In fact, he was leading the league in walks and on-base percentage when he injured his hamstring. We thought when he had the injury it was worse than it was. I looked at that and said that could be a season-ending injury because he came off the field looking like he could put no weight at all in his leg. Turned out to be just a 10-day deal or something along those lines, but very advanced approach as a hitter and a guy you could probably see move up at some point this season.
All right, shortstop Carlton
Right.
Dahl, he's hit well to start the season. Limited experience. What can you tell us about him?
Boy, he's kind of been the most pleasant surprise of all. We just didn't know what to expect from him. Didn't have many at-bats at the pro level. He's come in and really looked like a top-notch prospect. I think right now you'd probably put him down somewhere in the top 20 in the organization. Now that could change, of course, if he falls on his face and you come back to me at the end of the year and say, hey, here's a guy that hit 212 and you had him as a top 10 prospect, but a top 20 prospect, but he's hitting 320 or so. His defense has been a little inconsistent, but you see tools there. Similar in many ways to the obvious comparison, which is Didi Gregorius. Doesn't have the arm that Didi had, but he's been a better hitter than Didi was here. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the upcoming weeks to see if he continues to hit 300 with the athletic ability he has. I mean, he's a top 10 prospect at some point in the future.
Philip Ervin's been off to a slow start.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, it seems like he's picked things up in the past 10 games or so, but I haven't been able to watch all of the games like you have. Have you seen any changes, maybe in his approach or things he's been doing?
Well, you'll see that 1 game out of 3 where he might not get more than 1 hit, but he'll hit the ball hard 2 or 3 times, and then he'll go a couple of games where he just doesn't have a hit. And then you add it all up, and it's like 2 for 12. So the average might go down a little bit, but you'll see that 1 game out of every 3 where he really starts to show what the Reds hope he can be. He's had to play center field, and that's a position where he's maybe struggled at a little bit in terms of reading balls off the bat. They've kept him in the middle of the order. Probably if this was not a first-round pick, it'd be a guy that you would have seen at this point drop down to a lower part of the batting order, take some pressure off of him, where he's going to see fewer breaking balls but more fastballs. But being a first-round pick, they really have kept him in that 4 spot. And I think he's got, certainly it's a long season. One thing we learn here at this level, if you go back to the first time I was with the team was 08, you look at, for example, at the defense we saw from Devin Mesoraco that year, and you would have said, there's no way he can ever play defense in the major leagues. And guess what? He's playing defense in the major leagues now. So I try not to draw any long-term conclusions about a player at this point. But Ervin's got a lot of time still ahead of him this season, and he's been struggling to get above 200. But as he gets more and more experience, and I'm still not sure how much the wrist might be bothering him. And it may be a case where the wrist might be healthy now, but over the offseason, he wasn't able to do the things that the other players could and came into the season a little bit behind. That might have been part of the problem. Just the wrist over the offseason, which was injured and caused him to miss the last few weeks of the 2013 season, might have really taken away his offseason and prevented him from really being ready when the season began. So we'll see. Ask me again in a month, and maybe I can give you a better answer.
All right. Thanks.
All righty.